Hey, I'm Lev. I'm one of the authors of PgDog, and today we're going to look at a feature called load balancing. Load balancing in PgDog allows your applications to connect to just PgDog and pretend like it's just one database. And behind the scenes, PgDog itself will connect to one or multiple replicas and optionally the primary database, and will route the queries automatically to the right place. So, for example, select queries they will be sent to one of the replicas, and every other query like a create or insert, update, or delete will be sent to the primary automatically. To show you guys how it works, I've set up a local demo on my laptop here. So let me show you what I have. I have a Docker Compose. So I'm doing all these demos in Docker. It's kind of easy. Created 3 databases. So I have the primary here on port 45,000, and I added 2 replicas on ports 45,001 and 45,002. And I created a couple bash scripts here to spin them up. The replica one needed a little bit extra work because these are actual Postgres replicas they're going to replicate from the primary. And let's go ahead and launch that in Docker and see what happens. Here we go. Sweet. Okay, we have our primary and replicas running. That's great. Let's go ahead and configure PgDog so we can connect to these databases. So I got two of my configuration files here, pgdog.toml and users.toml. Both of them are typically required for PgDog deployment. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with pgdog.toml. And to make this work, I'm going to add all 3 databases, the primary and the 2 replicas, to the config. So let's go ahead and create a databases section. Let's call this database LB for load balanced database. They're running on localhost. This is the primary, so we're going to configure it on port 45,000. We're going to say it's a primary, although by default they're all primaries. And what else do we need? I think we just need to override that database name here because in Docker by default it's Postgres, not LB. Cool. So we have the primary configured. Let's go ahead and add a user. So the name of the user is going to be, what is it by default in Docker? I think it's just Postgres. And the password is creatively password. And the database name for this user is LB. Perfect. So that should be enough to just connect to the primary. So let's go ahead and try that real quick. Oops. Cargo run. And here we are. We have connected to our primary database, which is great. Let's keep going and add the 2 replicas. Here we go. So I'm back in pgdog.toml. I'm just going to copy this database entry here twice, one for each replica. And to double check the ports, this is 45,001 for the first replica and 45,002 for the second replica. I'm just going to set this here 1 and 2. And let's not forget to update the role for this database entry to replica. And that's all pretty much what we're going to have to do. I'm going to go ahead and restart PgDog. And we should see all 3 databases spin up. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. All right, let's try and connect to PgDog with some kind of Postgres client. I typically use pSQL for these demos because it's really easy. You can just run it in a terminal. So let's take a look at our config real quick. For the user, I need the password and the database name and the name of the user, which is Postgres. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that in the terminal. I usually set the password in the environment variable because it's easier that way. Oh, the password is actually password. I'm just going to go ahead and connect to PgDog, which runs on port 6432 by default. The user is, I already forgot, the user is Postgres. And the database name is LB, load balancer. Sweet, we are connected. We already have a couple tables in here, well, pgst statements and this user table I might have created before. I'm going to drop it because we don't really want that just for now. Great. So I'm connected to PgDog right now. and I'm running a bunch of queries and things are happening. So I have two replicas and a primary, and I'm running, like I just ran drop table and it went to the right database. And if I do create table users ID big serial or something like that, PgDog will route this correctly to the primary. And if I do like select star from users, for example, this will go to replica. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to switch back to PgDog here, and I'm going to enable debug logging. Debug logging is going to show you a little bit more information about what's going on under the hood. To do that, I'm just going to export rustlog debug and restart. So we're going to get a bunch more information now, which is going to be interesting. I'm just going to go ahead and reconnect. Just like that. And this is, as you can see, a bunch more messages showed up on the screen. These are all Postgres protocol and messages that show up. And we're kind of logging at least like the name of each message just to see what's going on. So now if I'm going to run a select query, let's say select star from users, if we look at the actual output of what's going on inside PgDog is the query shows up and we parse it with our SQL parser. It's actually the Postgres SQL parser directly. So we understand 100% of all Postgres queries, all valid Postgres queries. And the parser figured out that that's a select, which makes it a read query. And if it's a read query, it will go to one of the replicas. And in this case, I think by default, we're using the random load balancing algorithm. And we send this query to replica, looks like replica 2 based on the port here. If I run this query, let's say, a couple more times, the load balancer is going to kick in again, and it's going to send it to, let's see what happened. Send it to the primary once, and send it to one of the replicas once, and send it to the primary again, and here to the replica. So I think what's going on is that the primary is part of our load balancing configuration, and we are including reads as part of that configuration as well. There's a setting in PgDog that can exclude the primary, so you only load balance read queries across your replicas, and that's actually really great in pretty big Postgres deployments. Cool. Let's actually look up that setting real quick because I actually want to get this deployment right. Let's go into configuration, PgDog. I think it's in general settings under load balancer. Is it load balancing strategy, read write split? So this is the setting we're looking for. Read write split, what does it do is how to handle the separation of reads and writes. Okay, so the two available options we have is include the primary or exclude the primary. So we want to exclude the primary from the load balancer when it's serving read queries. So this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go into the config, create a general section. Most settings in PgDog are optional, so you don't even have to specify them. They have pretty good defaults. So I'm just going to exclude the primary in this case, and let me just give it a quick reboot. Perfect. So if I reconnect again and run the same query, select star from users, let's do it like 2 or 3 or 4 times, or 5, I guess. Now let's see what happens. Let's scroll to the top just so we are clear where we're starting. So this is our first run. It goes to replica 2. Second one, replica 2 again, replica 2 again, replica 1, replica 2. So random load balancing, okay, not too bad. A little bit too random, I think. Let's maybe make it a little bit more deterministic, just so we split the load as evenly as possible. And for this, let's look at load balancing strategy. So this one, we have so far, I think 3. I think all of these are documented here. So we're using random, which is the default one. Let's use round robin. And round robin is a pretty good load balancing strategy because it's going to literally go from replica 1 to replica 2, then back to replica 1, then to replica 2. That's why it's called round robin. You just keep bouncing between all the replicas or between all the candidates in your load balancing pool, whatever they are. So I'm just going to set it to round robin, save. This time I'm not going to restart PgDog. I'm actually going to use a reload command because I'm going to show it to you guys. Like, you don't have to actually restart PgDog every time you change the config. You can just do a quick reload without breaking your client connections. So I'm going to use pkill, send it the hub signal. Hub, which is what PgDog will do when it hears the hub signal, is that it will reload the config. Perfect. All right, then we should be good to go. So if I run the same query again a few times, we should see pretty perfect load balancing. So this is replica 1, replica 2, replica 1, and replica 2, and replica 1, and replica 2. Perfect. So yeah, that's load balancing. It's spreading the load, the query load, evenly between all available databases, and that's how you scale reads horizontally, at least in Postgres. And PgDog just does it automatically. Cool. So now that we have a correctly configured load balancer, let me show you another feature called failover or health checks. Health checks will periodically check every single database in the deployment, and if one of the databases fails because of a network issue or a hardware issue of some sort, it will remove that database from the load balancer. And what this will do is all subsequent queries will avoid that broken database and will go to one of the healthy candidates. Let me show you how that works. So we have our Docker Compose running here, and PgDog is connected to all 3 databases right now. So what I'm going to go ahead and is I'm going to kill one of the databases that are currently running. Just to make sure that we're connected already. Here we are. Let's go with kill replica 2. Perfect. So that replica exited, shut down. Perfect. So let's go ahead and run the same query again. Boom, we have an error. So that's what happens when one of the databases breaks down. The error is propagated to the client, and it kind of has to reconnect. And then if you run the same query again, there we go. No more errors. And what's happening underneath is PgDog is rerouting. It's sending the query to literally any other replica that's available. So in our case, it's only going to be replica 1. So if we run a bunch of these queries again, all of these are going to go to replica 1 right here. Perfect. And this here as well. And this is a really important feature for production deployments. Your replicas occasionally will break down, and you kind of want to minimize the impact of that incident. And in this case, the traffic just fails over cleanly to another replica, and your applications just keep going. Let me show you what that looks like from inside the PgDog admin database. And that database gives you access to a bunch of different statistics and real-time information about what's going on inside PgDog. I have it configured here. I added the following section to pgdog.toml. I just gave it a password. So this is the password we're going to use to connect to the admin database. By default, the name of the database is admin, and the user that you connect with is also admin. So let's go ahead and connect to that deep magical database now. Here we go. So show pools shows you what databases we're currently connected to and what's going on with them. So we have database 1, 2, and 3, and one of them will be banned. So this is our replica. This is replica 2, and it's currently banned, which means it's not able to receive any traffic from the clients. I think that pretty much covers PgDog load balancing. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, don't hesitate to reach out, and thanks so much for watching. See ya.